Yes, so let us continue. The three questions are there, uh, and these three questions are um, what, who, and whom. And these questions are to be put up to the finite verb in order to find out the subject and predicate both. Okay, in this case, we want to find out the subject. Right. So, step three what, who, and whom. First, let us take named. And as we have already tried to identify initially, two words named and uh, so um, lived. So first let us take up named. Who named Taro? Active voice. Uh, Question. This question is in active voice. Subject, verb, uh, object. Who named Taro? We do not get any answer. If we find who named Taro, then there is no answer. So in this way we have to check all these questions whether they are applicable, and secondly we should they should not only be applicable but they all should also get answer. Okay, so who was named Taro? Now this is passive voice question. Same question in passive voice. We get one word answer, a young woodcutter, on our right, but we are not satisfied because when we see that the structure of the sentence, that before the verb, the finite verb, there are two or more explanation in the subject part. But the sentence is not passive, right? So the answer is not correct. It is an active sentence. There was a young woodcutter named Taro lived with his like that. So, dear children, if you do not understand this, you must learn active and passive structures. Soon I will be posting a very simple way to learn and memorize the same. Okay, um, so let us continue. So this brings us to second word, lived. Who lived with his parents? So we have framed first question with who, with this what, who, and whom. So who lived with his parents? The question is applicable and we get a complete answer. A young woodcutter named Taro, right? Who lived with his parents? So this gives us, so that means this question not only applies but it gives a phrase, a young woodcutter named Taro. This whole phrase we get, and it comes right before the verb lived. And so by obvious observation also we can see that. So conclusion, the verb lived is the finite verb that gives us complete subject on the left hand side. Now students, it is up to you to take many sentences and try to identify the verbs in it and ask questions what, who, and whom. All right, as I have shown you the steps. So we can conclude that the verb lived is the finite verb that gives us complete subject on the left hand side. Okay, so applying the result, now to make sure that our conclusion is correct, we can take a careful look at the subject and see that both woodcutter and Taro are synonyms. How can we say that they are synonyms? If they are synonyms, then we should be able to remove either of them without changing the meaning. Okay, and that means two things are coming in the subject part and both are complementing each other equally. Then we can say that they are synonyms, right? And if they are synonyms, then taking either of them and leaving either of them will not make much difference on the sentence. Okay, so let us try and see for ourselves. A young woodcutter lived with his mother and father on a lonely hillside. Taro lived with his mother and father on a lonely hillside. So both are making good sense. A young woodcutter lived with his mother and father on a lonely hillside. Taro lived with his mother and father on a lonely hillside. Right? So these are the ways to test. Oh, yes, we can make two sentences without spoiling the meaning, isn't it? So, what does it mean? It simply means that woodcutter and taro both are subject words. And thus, a young woodcutter named Taro is the complete subject because the whole phrase is placed before the finite verb lived. This means that the phrase means a group of words, right? That acts like one part of speech in a sentence. Okay, this means that the whole phrase named Taro is is giving some more information about woodcutter, right? Named Taro is an adjectival phrase. Actually speaking, it is an adjectival phrase. If we expand the phrase, it will become adjectival clause. Expanding means adding proper helping verbs to this verb. That means it is incomplete, and making it proper clause. Who was named Taro? So who becomes a pronominal conjunction and subject also. It is a subject, it is a pronoun for Taro or for the woodcutter, and so a subject plus predicate was named Taro. So probably the students of 8th, 9th and 10th will understand this, but everyone must understand this because you have been studying the different forms of verb, and now you have been also studying sentences, and you are making sentences. So everyone who makes sentences must understand and these things that I am explaining here in some or the other way. And all these things come by practice. Everything depends on your practice. The more you take sentences and try to analyze them when you are reading your literature book or other books, then you can hone this skill of analyzing the sentence and understanding it, right? Okay. So this brings us to the end of this part 1.